Welcome to Daily Life Connection. Thank you for joining me again today as we continue to explore Luke chapter 15 and how it reveals the heart of the Father and how it reveals our hearts and what we think about the Father and our relationship with Him as well. Yesterday we began with the elder brother, and today we're going to continue there. When we see the elder brother being very judgmental towards his younger brother, we see him complaining about his father. Father, I've slaved for you, and you haven't given me anything. And then when this son of yours, who's been out with prostitutes and wasting all your money and bringing shame to the family, when he comes home, you give him. We see this awful attitude expressed by the elder brother. And, you know, it reminded me, and I alluded to it a little bit yesterday, but of that story in Luke chapter 16 of where the Pharisee is at the temple with the sinner, and he is standing there and he's saying, thank God I'm not like other people, even like this sinner here. You know, you've helped me live a righteous life. And he was thankful for that. But at the same time, he was so blind to his own sins, whereas this sinner standing over there beating his chest and with his head down saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. He was so aware of his sinfulness, and this mirrors this story in Luke chapter 15 of the elder brother and the younger brother. This older brother, who can smell the pig poop and cheap gin on his brother. You know, I don't know. He was out in the fields working, so he didn't even really see this younger brother come back. But he assumes these things about him. He assumes these negative, sinful things about him. And he's very quick to smell that pig poop and gin on his brother, even if it was just in his imagination. And boy, there's a whole lesson for us there as well. But he is not able to smell the stench of his own pride, his own self-righteousness, which when we look at scriptures, and pride and self-righteousness are judged by Jesus much more harshly than these other sins that he is alluding to that his brother may have committed. So, why is it that this older brother can see his younger brother's sins so clearly, but not his own? Why is it like that so often in the church? We find that as well. We find that people are very quick to see other people's sins and issues and failures, but are blind to their own. There's an ad on television that talks about being nose blind. It's an ad for some kind of scent remover, and to make things smell better. And that when we live in something that smells long enough, it just becomes natural to us. We don't even notice it anymore. And that's what's happened with this older brother. He has lived with this self-righteousness, this performance-based righteousness so long that he doesn't even smell his own stench anymore. But he's very quick to pick up on the stench of others. In this story of the publican and the sinner at the temple, we see that lived out so clearly, that this Pharisee is saying, and he even thanks God. He doesn't take credit for himself. Well, I have worked really hard to be righteous, but he thanks God for it. Thank God I'm not like other men. Thank God for what you've done in my life. And boy, we can so get caught into that little pride thing, can't we? Where we really believe we are better than other people. And then we don't want to be proud about it, so we say, well, I thank God that He's enabled me to be like that, which implies if those other people would just submit to God and to His ways and live like He teaches, they could be as good as I am, or maybe even better. That sounds very humble, doesn't it? But it's all still tied to that performance-based religion thing, that performance-based relationship with God and with each other. And it's just so deadly. Jesus makes it so clear here how deadly and poisonous this is, and how limiting it is to feel like that. And so, as we think about this part of the lesson today, we really need to ask the Spirit to search our hearts. Father, is there that kind of self-satisfied religious? In that story in Luke, the NIV says that this man was self-satisfied with his performance. He was satisfied with it. And boy, it's so easy to slip into that when we're doing well spiritually, isn't it? When we are reading our word, reading the word and praying and going to church and doing the right things, it's easy to fall into that trap of being somewhat satisfied. And even if we thank God for it and give him the credit for it, but it's always a catch. There's always that catch there, because the enemy wants us to think like that, because we will come to resent the Father and we'll come to judge others. And we'll come to eventually become blind to our own failures and faults. So there's something to think about today. This whole concept of it's so easy to smell the sin in others and become nose blind to it in ourselves. And Lord, just help us. Is there good news in this? I mean, it sounds like a negative talk today, doesn't it? I don't even like that. But the good news is we don't have to be like that. Because of grace, we can give up this performance-based religious righteousness and relationships and just relax and enjoy the Father and enjoy our brothers and sisters. That's good news for us when we approach it like that. It's an issue of repentance again, isn't it? To change how we think about our relationship to God and to others. Well, let's think about that today. We'll talk again tomorrow.